Hello and welcome to another episode of Beckett Now, where we bring you the best in news, research, music, sports, and more. I'm Saloni Mathur.
And I'm Phylis, Ruse, our co-host. How is everything, Saloni?
Everything's great. I'm so glad the weather is finally getting better.
So today's show is about bringing you real live news that has been happening around the world. Over the last few days, people have been celebrating with colours and powder. Do you want to know more?
Yes, it's the Holi festival. It's a traditional Indian festival that is celebrated by Hindus all around the world. It marks the beginning of spring, so it is celebrated near the end of Feb and the early March, and it is celebrated with throwing vibrant colors and scented water over each other. It's just super fun.
Our very own Saloni went to Halifax to join in with this colourful celebration.
I'm right now at Savile Park in Halifax, and people from all over the place have gathered here to celebrate the traditional Hindu festival of Holi. This is a festival that marks the onset of spring, and it is so beautiful to see people getting back to normal after 2 years of pandemic. We are finally celebrating this festival, dancing and putting colors on each other. Let's go and see what's happening around here.
This function is called Holi. It's an Indian festival, so we organized to get the community together. And in spite of all the background, they are here and they are enjoying. It's amazing to see.
I think there are a lot of people who want to come in, but we limit ourselves to 170 because we possibly couldn't do it in that time, and we need bigger permissions as well. But I think next year we're going to definitely target a bit more. We might do about 300 or something like that, but we might have to make sure that the weather supports us as well.
First time, this much of colors with so many people, and especially after this depressing pandemic, 2 years is really good. I mean, playing with so many people, so many unknown faces, all Indian spirits, with sweets, with Holika Dahan. Unexpected in UK, you are staying in a small community, you enjoy it like this. Too good to the organizers. Thank you very much.
It feels really great to be among all the Indians and playing it. You saw some Britishers also coming in and enjoying. So it's all about inclusivity. Yeah? So it's really nice. And happy Holi to everyone.
Happy Holi! This is the spirit of Holi at Halifax. 1, 2, 3! This is Saloni Mathur from Beckett Now.
Now on to some world news. As many of you have already seen in the media, Ukraine is still suffering at the moment, with the attack still going on in many of its cities. This has prompted multiple civilians to flee to safety.
Poland is Ukraine's neighbouring country, and many people have been trying to cross its borders. We are joined here by our travel reporter, Rebekah McFadden, who visited Poland to get a real insight.
Hi Rebecca, let's just dive into it. You went to Poland and you went to the Ukrainian and Poland border, didn't you?
Yes.
And what did you see and how impactful was that?
It was amazing to actually be there. I don't think I turned off the news one time before I went. So I was constantly keeping up to date with everything going on. So to be there in real life was very impactful.
Yeah. Wow. What did you see? How was the scene there and what was happening?
So basically, I was in Przemysl, which was one of the main train stations where a lot of the refugees were coming and a lot of volunteers were going to help out. So every day, floods of refugees would come in on buses and the train from Ukraine. So we would just stay at the station and I would document what I saw in videos, camera, taking pictures of just how many people were actually flooding through the station. I think one thing that really stood out was a lot of the people were families, women and children, without the men, because a lot of those men were back in Ukraine because they were within that conscription age.
Wow. I remember I've heard that a lot of volunteers would wear jackets and vests with the names of the countries that they're from and also what languages they speak. Did you wear a vest or anything like that at the time? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. When I got there, I immediately went to find out who was in charge of the volunteers. There were just so many that I wanted to help. Honestly, I was just overwhelmed with what I was seeing, and I felt like it was in my wheelhouse to help. So they gave me a vest, and yeah, like you said, they write the languages that they speak on the back just to help. in terms of, you know, you have hundreds of people that have just left their home, they've left everything behind, and they don't know what's next. So they needed help with buying train tickets, they needed help with places to stay for the night. So that just kind of helped in that way.
I do remember you telling me that there were children have people dressed up as cartoon characters to make them feel better. Could you tell more about that? Could you shed a light on that?
Yeah, I was taking some pictures of volunteers, and then I saw 3 Disney characters in huge outfits making their way through the train station. It was really cool. Then they were handing out candy just to everybody, and the kids in particular, just
so sweet.
Lighting a smile on their face. I mean, you have to imagine where they've come from and what's next, and they really don't know. So I think to just have that lighthearted, those 3 guys come in just was a light for them.
My final question to you is, would you go back?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think realistically, I would love to go into Ukraine. That would be the ultimate goal. I have my favorite photojournalist is there. I know individually somebody who works for National Geographic that's there, and if I didn't feel like my parents would send me home, I would definitely go back. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Rebekah,
Thanks for
giving
me.
us an insight into what has been happening in the latest news. We have been seen a lot of people trying to leave Ukraine and enter Poland, but what was also brought to the surface was that many people, many Black and Asian students, were being denied access into Poland. Students took to Twitter to share their frustrations. There were even signs up that read, "No Black students allowed."
This is tragic news, and amongst all that is going on around the world, why is race still a part of it? After a short break, I will be joined by Satinder and Sarah, international students who both have friends in Ukraine who have witnessed this kind of treatment. Welcome, Satinder and Sarah. It's so great to have you here. You both have had friends who have been in Ukraine and who have been stuck there and tried to get out. Satinder, let's start with you first.
Yeah.
Who was it and where were they in Ukraine, and what did they face and how did they get out? And they did get out, right?
Yes, hopefully. Most of them, they did get out and return back safely to India. But it all started, as we know, on 24th of February, when the students, they started receiving messages and calls from their friends that their cities are being targeted, there are airstrikes and the buildings are being bombarded and all that stuff.
Right.
So the students, they didn't knew about anything, they just rushed out to the bunkers and all that stuff.
Right. And Sarah, you have a friend who's still there, or has she left?
She's managed to leave now.
She's managed to leave. And what did she face, and how was she able to leave?
It's been a horrible experience
Yeah.
for all of them, to be honest. Having to hide in bunkers, getting their hostels blown up, it's been a horrible experience. But I'm sure that she's back home. We have family now, and they're all trying to, recuperate.
We have heard that there has been a bias against people of color. Satinder, did your friend face something like that there?
Yes, all of them faced, because they were not clear directions from the government. They were, as soon as they received the Indian embassy, they received that the cities are being bombarded and all that stuff.
Right.
They just received that the clear, from the local administrator that they just go and out to the railway station, but there were no cabs, no buses, and students were forced to go out on their own. There were some of them, they started walking as soon as they started receiving the adversaries.
Right.
And their sufferings did not end there. When they reached the border, they were pushed back, apart from their color, because they were Ukrainians, and European students were allowed to go first to cross the border, and we have seen the girls being abused and all that stuff. So it was all,
That's horrific. Sarah, why do you think that race and gender is still an issue in a crisis like this?
I think it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
Because there's no other explanation for it. We fought against all types of discrimination for the longest time, and racism has been one of the top conversations regarding discrimination, and of course gender.
Yeah.
But it's a horrific thing that is what's been discussed in a moment where it's, you know, really a matter of life and death, and that is all that some people can still see, is to see color, especially when yesterday the UN still celebrated the voices for actions against racism. So I don't even know why both countries, which are UN countries, have to deal with this at this time.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
Exactly. Well, this is your platform. Is there anything that you would both like to add? We'll go with you, Sarah, first. Is there anything that you would like to add to this whole issue?
I think that first I want to say it's a good thing that the Nigerian government was able to step in for Nigerian students and, you know, evacuate them to Hungary and back home. But I also think that it opens a room for more discourse to tell us that issues on racism aren't done yet, and we still need to have more conversation around that, and hopefully we can revisit the discussion after the war is over, hopefully.
And last of all, Satinder, is there anything that you want to add to this
I just want to wish all the students, you know, bless them, because they actually faced the horror, you know, like staying in Ukraine and all this stuff. So most of them, I spoke to a few of my friends, you know, they have the courage to go back to Ukraine because they love the city, they are the people, the culture, because the people, there is no racism. I don't know like what it all happened there, but most of them, they wanted to go back and pursue their medical courses.
That's brave of them. Thank you so much, Sarah and Satinder, for sharing
Saloni.
your experiences and your friends' experiences with her. We really appreciate your time here. Thank you so
Pleasure
much.
to be here.
This week, the UK government launched its Homes for Ukraine website, whereby Brits can register to offer a home to Ukraine refugees. Apparently, the site crashed within 24 hours of its launch. If anyone has registered and has a home available, we would love to hear from you. Well, today has been a very eventful but very emotional show, but that's it from us.
For any information covered, or if you would like to be a part of it, please follow us on YouTube and send us a message. Until then, take care and remember, be inspired, be educated,
be exceptional,
be Beckett Now.
Bye for now.